Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Enemy here, bringing you my review for One Piece chapter 896, and I'm back in my relatively old setup, guys. The vacation in Hawaii is over. I ended up getting back. I ended up getting back. I ended up getting back and ends in basically the it was the I think yeah it was in the afternoon of this of afternoon of at Canada's afternoon, I guess, or whatever. But yeah, so I'm back in my relatively old setup. Still not back in my own house, unfortunately, but I'm back in the relatively old setup. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this chapter because there is a lot to talk about. So the chapter continues the chapter continues the theme of building up the meeting time that the other Straw Hats are supposed to meet Luffy. And I really like how Oda addressed the whole danger of the situation, having informed Sanji of what's going on, and then in turn having him tell the crew that basically that going the pretty much going anywhere near I think it was Cacao Island is dangerous, and that was good because to me it was reinforcing that this is a Yonko's that this whole situation is dangerous, is a tenuous and very dangerous situation, and they can't do things haphazardly. But it really does raise two questions for me, which are the which is where are the crew gonna go from here, and how is Sanji gonna approach taking on the small army of Big Mom's children that's being led by Oven? If I had to take a shot in the dark with the second, to start off with the second question, if I had to take a shot in the dark with that one, Sanji will probably pull a diversion with Pudding that leads majority of them away, while Sanji is going to take on Oven and I want to maybe a bit of a small group of the Big Mom pirates, but yeah, I think Pudding is going to lead the others way while Sanji takes care of Oven. Um, but as for the other one, I I don't know what the Straw Hats are gonna do. Honestly, the only option I can think of is that they're gonna catch up to is to catch up to Capone. The I mean, the only other thing that comes to mind is that this might be the time where Oda decides that now is the opportunity in order to reintroduce the Vince Smokes or the Sun Pirates or maybe even both, because if you notice, it's been quite a few chapters since pretty much both groups have. It's been quite a few chapters, and both groups have been strangely absent for quite a while, and it is obvious that Oda is probably keeping that one in keeping us in the dark on that one, and but it is clear that both groups have been in the shadows and preparing for something big. So it yeah the only so knowing that those are really the only options I can think of on the Straw Hats end of things, that they either catch up to Capone and face the wrath of Big Mom again, or now is probably the time to reintroduce the Vince Smokes and the Fishman Pirates. But yeah, who knows on that one. Um, the other major thing that happened in this episode is of course that Luffy's battle with Katakuri ends. And the sad thing is, even though Luffy was victorious in that battle, he's too weak now to deal with the threat outside. So really, when you look at this whole situation, Luffy's survival is now really solely dependent on whether or not on what Sanji does and whether or not he succeeds. And in these past couple chapters, in this past like whole in these bookend chapters of the whole Cake Island arc, it's funny. But for me, Oda's self-proclaimed year of Sanji, and even though I'm well aware Oda's self-proclaimed year of Sanji ended a while ago, it really feels like it hasn't ended at all because the whole Cake Island arc has had such a central focus on Sanji. It's like the year of Sanji might have officially ended, but it feels like it never really even ended either because we're getting so much stuff on Sanji too. So yeah, although I really got to talk about Katakuri because holy shit, I knew Katakuri was a big dude, but that panel of seeing him collapse and Luffy standing over him really made me realize just how big of a big Katakuri as a character is, and the wide shot panels of them fighting really tricks the eyes with something like that. Like when you really look at those wide shot panels of them fighting far away, it really just it really looks like they're pretty much well, that they are about the same height or something like that. But when you really look at a panel like that, it's like, okay, Katakuri is a large dude. He's probably bigger than Crocodile or something. But yeah, like Katakuri is he's definitely a big boy. But then again, being one of like definitely not big girth wise, but definitely height wise, yeah, he's definitely got a few. Definitely got a few height points on Luffy. So yeah, um, and yeah, it's one of those things where Oda really lets to trick our eyes with those whole wide shot panels and whatnot. Um, and I guess it's time to talk about that one scene that really made me laugh out loud. Peckham's dressed basically, I want to say, as a Mexican wrestler and calling himself. It was Nazons, I think. Yeah, and it's pretty clear to me that Oda's taking inspiration from Usopp's whole previous thing of being the Sogeking and in Enies Lobby with that, and Peckham's doesn't. And in this situation, Peckham's just doesn't want to be caught as a traitor, but somehow I get the feeling that, but by the same token of pretty much how Usopp's disguise as the Sogi King was so obvious, I think it's pretty much the same token here. Like, I don't think Peckham's disguise is really going to be fooling anyone either. Although I did, believe it or not, I did strangely facepalm at how much of a walking contradiction Luffy was. But basically, but pretty much, if you think about it, when he acknowledged that the masked person was Peckham's, it's really freaking contradictory when you think about it. He was tricked by Usopp's disguise, this this Usopp's disguise, but he wasn't tricked by Peckham's. He instantly knew it was Peckham's. Like, yeah, it's like Luffy. What the hell? You were easily tricked by the whole Sogeking thing, but you weren't tricked by Peckham's. Well, then again, I suppose it did help Luffy. It does help Usopp's case that he did have an extremely compelling backstory for pretty much for pretty much his for pretty much for pretty much his it did help the fact that Usopp is so good at lying, and he had a pretty compelling backstory as to who the Soge King is and whatnot. So I guess the backstory of who Soge King is what did more trick Luffy than the actual disguise itself, I guess. But yeah, um, and but silliness aside, Peckham said he was going to be able to get Luffy out of the mirror world and reunited with the others. And now, obviously, it is going to be somewhere the Big Mom pirates are going to be the somewhere with the now. Obviously, it's going to be somewhere that the Big Mom pirates are going to be guarding. Otherwise, he wouldn't need the disguise in general. But it can't like I'm trying to I'm really thinking about where particularly he would be able to go in terms of leading Luffy to a safe haven, so to speak, because it can't be the mirror that Oven's guarding, because he knows that he wouldn't. Peckham isn't dumb. He knows he wouldn't stand a chance against Oven. So the only two ways I can see this going down is that it'll be an area with low security, or it will be the mirror that Oven is guarding, but it's going to be one of the things that where pretty much by the time that Luffy and Peckham's actually get there, Sanji will have defeated Oven by then. And if it's the latter, then we're probably headed for more buildup in the mirror world, but I can't believe it's going to be as long as it was as it was with Chopper and Carrot, because Oda himself has said that he wanted to get to Wano this year, but with the man knows Goda, I don't question him. So who knows? I guess he could extend this if that is the case, but who knows? Like I said, I think I want to believe it'll be an area where there's gonna be a little less security, but And if that's the case, then both Sanji's and Owen's plans are basically going to go to shit, and this whole battle was worthless. But like I said, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Um, but aside from that, we get a brief conversation between it was Montor and Morgans, I think is his name, about dealing with the Straw Hats. And Montor, I'm not gonna lie, the guy has some serious balls in claiming that their whole gridlock and their whole gridlock around the island would be able to capture even Gold Roger himself. Especially, like, he's got some balls for that, especially considering how Roger managed to trick Big Mom so apparently so effortlessly, and that's honestly one thing I still want to know how. I still want to know about. Like, I want to like a small brief backstory on that shit. Like, how did Roger manage to trick Big Mom? I mean, the popular theory is he promised to marry one of Big Mom's daughters and use that as a means to sneak in and steal a poneglyph, but still, some clarification on how Roger managed to trick Big Mom, one of the emperors. That would kind of be nice, especially considering how much of a gluttonous and how savage Big Mom has proven to be, especially. But yeah. Also, have you guys noticed that, like, we also get a very brief panel of, I think it was Stussy in this chapter, and with her just looking on the conversation saying and that's rather cruel, isn't it? But it's not her words that has gotten to me. Have you noticed that Stussy hasn't done a thing? She hasn't tried to capture the Straw Hats or take out any more of the underworld brokers, or at least none we've yet to see on screen. So it really just kind of begs the question of what Stussy is planning right now. If I had to take this is all just me taking shots in the dark right now, but if I had to take another shot in the dark, I wonder if she's hoping for the Straw Hat Pirates and Big Mom Pirates in order to take each other out. And like I said, it's just a bit of a out there theory, I guess. But if that is her plan, which is obviously not going to fully succeed, as we know that the Big Mom Pirates are going to be defeated, but the Straw Hats are going to make it out of this alive. It would, if you really think about it, it would really make a certain fleet admiral, Akainu, look very bad. Because if you think about it, Akainu relocated Navy HQ for this very purpose of taking on the Yonko. So combine that with his obvious hatred for, I don't know if it was CP0, just the CP groups in general, but if you combine his hatred for his disdain or just displeasure with the whole CP0 organization, yeah, if CP0 actually managed to succeed in some way like this, then it would really get Akainu's blood boiling, and especially if CP0 or Cypher Pole in general managed to take credit for this one. But yeah, and that I'm really surprised that the Marines haven't really managed to get any people on this island, but any people themselves on this island. But then again, maybe that's because of the gridlock, but who knows. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.